What's up, everyone? We got William live in the car right now. He's on the loose, and he's going to talk about his journey break into sales. William, how are you feeling this afternoon?
I'm feeling great, man. I'm doing good. Just got off my new job in tech sales. It's feeling great.
What are you up to nowadays?
Now I'm working at a company called PLS Logistics. We're a third party logistics company. We're the middleman between shippers and carriers. Trying to book loads with local companies that need to move freight like flatbeds, LTLs, FTLs, anything like that sort of thing. So lately, my days consist of a lot of cold calling, emails, building connections, relationships, things like that. So it's been a fun journey so far.
Had you always been in sales before this, or what were you doing before this new job?
No, this is actually my first sales career. Before I started my job at PLS, I was working as a server in downtown Nashville at Hattie B's Lower Broadway. So I was about 4 tenure there before I started my first career job in sales here.
What was it like being a server there?
It was nice. It was a good time. Definitely a lot of volume. It's one of the busiest restaurants in downtown Nashville. So, working there at Hattie B's, it was good. It was a good time. I enjoyed the company and the people. I just always knew that that was not my long term goal or where I wanted my career trajectory to be at. So that's why I chose to make the switch.
That Hattie B's is always busy. The few times I've been on Broadway in Nashville, they say go to Hattie B's. They got the best chicken. Never can get in. The line's too long. So you must have been busy in there.
Yeah,
What was it?
it's about an hour. It's about an hour from the back end of it.
What was it about that job beyond it sounds like you didn't see a future there, and was there anything else about that you felt like you actually needed to make a change from it?
Yeah, so here how it goes for me is I was originally going to work in sports because I graduated from Middle Tennessee State University as a sports major. And unfortunately during that time I graduated during the COVID cycle, right? So there was a lot of hiring freezes on some of the major jobs. So I wasn't able to get a job right out the gate for what I wanted. But when those freezes started to alleviate a little bit, I was able to get a part time job with the Nashville Predators as a guest services representative downtown. But since it only being part time to supplement that income, the Hattie B's right across the street was hiring. It was like right across the street, literally from it. And I stayed there for a while because I could see my earning potential with the tips and things like that. But I always knew that, being a server wasn't what I wanted to do long term, only because it wasn't what I was passionate about or I genuinely had a interest in. But when I, discovered course careers in tech sales, it sounded like something that was pretty fun. It looked like it was scalable for a long term future. I always enjoyed talking to people, me being in customer service. So building connections, getting to know people a little bit better, and finding solutions to their problems was what I felt like resonated with me most. So that's why I decided to make the change from being a server to joining tech sales.
Talk about your experience joining Course Careers. How long did it take you? What did you learn? What was it like?
CourseCareers was great, man. It had a lot of insightful information. I loved the course because it was self-taught. You could go back and watch the videos at your own pace. Like if it was something that I wasn't sure about, I didn't quite understand to the fullest of my knowledge, I could always go back and review the information over and over again until it's imprinted in my brain, and then I got it. It was very insightful. It had a lot of helpful tips on, how to start the sales process to how to land a job. And I like that it also gives you a lot of different options on how to edit your resume and cover letter. And in doing that, it helps you tailor it to each job that you're applying for, which is very helpful because it makes it easy and simple for you. And it wasn't very difficult at all. It was very self-explanatory. It took something that a process that could have been complicated and made it really simple. Is what I liked about course groups.
Hmm. What were you worried or concerned about when you decided to go from being a server to breaking into sales?
My biggest worry, I would say, was I didn't know what it looked like being a server for so long, 4 years, 10 years there. That was my first like full time job. So jumping into sales, I was like, man, I just don't know like if I, got has what it takes to actually get in there and do this. That was my biggest fear. Or would anybody want to hire me with no experience? I guess I would say that was my fear. But going through the tech sales course, it's all about overcoming objection. You're pretty much expecting whoever you're cold calling to get on the phone with you and say no. But my job was to ask open-ended questions, be curious, be confident in my abilities to, keep following up in the call and eventually getting to, the upside of it. And I learned that the same skills that you use in the job are the skills that it takes to get the job. So, finding the job was, a whole job in its own. And it took a little bit longer than what I originally planned, but not giving up is what eventually got me there, and just continuing to believe in myself and trust in my CourseCareers coaches and my own abilities is, I guess I would say, what led me to overcome my fears.
Talk about that job search process for you.
So the job search process for me, it took a lot of editing my resume. Right, I noticed that I had to keep my resume to one page, keep it simple, don't put too much fluff in there. When interviewing, try to be your authentic self. I noticed that a lot of interviewers can see right through you if you're just adding fluff, or if you don't sound confident in what you're saying, or they can tell if you have, relevant experience or not. Just being a good cultural fit. I noticed that cultural fit's a big thing with a lot of jobs. Do you fit with the job structure, the culture? I would say the compensation, the people is, some things that you need to consider as far as like the job search. So for me, um, I wanted to hit a certain amount of compensation, which was a 50K base salary plus on target commissions. I wanted to work for a company that had a good product, right? Which is like a need based business, something that people need every single day, that had good leaders in front of them and good compensation, like benefits and things like that, stuff that I could also help take care of my family with, because I do have a wife and a daughter as well. So wanted to get them under a good package. So I'm looking for all those things is what I was looking for in a good company. And throughout my search, I noticed that you can't, well, I mean, you can accept the first offer that comes to you, but it's better to, kind of, have your options open and do your research on the company as well. Know some things about the business, know the business model, know some facts about the company. What makes me stand out from other candidates, right? What makes me the best candidate for the job? Because just as I'm applying to, maybe 10, 20, hundreds of jobs, other candidates are applying to these same jobs. So I feel like it's all about what makes you stand out from the other 100 people that are applying for the same position. And Course Careers teaches you how to stand out, how to become the best candidate, and just how to frame yourself as the best person that you can, and also optimize your LinkedIn profile is a big thing as well.
How many companies would you say you applied to?
I would say I applied to at least 100 companies, at least 100, if not more than that.
100 companies. How many interviews do you think you got?
100 companies. I'll say I got about 25 interviews. Yeah, sounds about right.
And then what made you outline your criteria for the company you ended up selecting? What
Right.
what was it about that interview process that either felt right or that you think you did differently that ultimately led it to work out?
For me, I would say that once I got in a good flow and I outlined everything, like I would say that I made my LinkedIn profile look as professional as possible. I let them know that I was looking for a career in this field. Um, I presented myself well. I was when I was talking to the hiring leader for the company, I was asking him, questions on how I could improve, what I could do. He said that he liked me, my demeanor, and things like that. He told me about the company, PLS, their brand of business, how they operate, what the compensation's like, and we just had a really good conversation. It was a genuine, moving conversation back and forth. It didn't feel like it was like a traditional interview. It felt like he was just talking to me as a human. And that just ultimately led me to make the decision for the job. I felt really good about it. He felt good about me. So that's what brings us to where we are currently.
And what's your experience like today doing what you're doing in sales versus what you had been doing at Hattie B's?
Oh, it's definitely a lot different. It is both interactive, but with the sales part of it, you're not seeing people like face to face every day. But at Hattie B's, you're dealing with customers that are wanting the product that you're giving to them off of the back. um in tech sales or logistics sales, I would say you're trying to win business from people that need to move freight loads. So I would say the difference to me is you're going out and trying to trying to make the most sense as of why that the prospect that you're searching for could use your business. So you have to promote yourself in the best way. And you also need to know how to overcome objections because you're expected to get them. But you need to know how to frame it in a way that makes the most sense for the prospect to want to be on your side. I would say that would be the biggest difference for me.
Dang, dishing some useful sales tips here. Some tips to get the job, to be successful in the job, to get the pipeline, to close the deals. Man,
Yes,
you're
sir.
giving people everything they need.
Definitely, man. Yeah, you gotta have these tips to be successful in the job. The same skills that it takes to get the job is the skills you're gonna use in the job. And I found that out very quick.
Let's end on any final advice you have for the job seekers out there that are looking for better opportunities and want to follow in your footsteps and go from something that they don't see as much opportunity in to something that they really could see themselves doing longer term.
Yes, I would say whatever it is that you want to do in a job, you definitely can achieve that. But it takes time, patience, and your belief in yourself. For me, I thought I was gonna land a job within 4, 5 months, 6 months tops. It wasn't the case. It took me a year to find a job. And it did come to a certain point after about 7 to 8 months where a little self doubt did creep in a little bit, but then I remembered, what you were saying in the course, Trent, where you kept saying, the same skills it takes to get the job, or that you use in the job, it takes to get the job. That's what it takes. It may take 200 or a few hundred applications. You might only get 20, 30 interviews. You know, you might only get a handful of offers, and that's just what it takes. It's all about metrics. It's all about sticking to your guns, use your metrics wisely, not giving up on yourself, staying consistent, and just believing. Believing. You got to believe. You can't give up halfway through. You just got to keep persisting. And persistence is what you need in every walk of life, not just sales, just in anything. Like, you're going to get hit with setbacks. You're going to get hit with things you don't like. You're gonna get hit with rejections. That's all a part of it. And whatever's rejecting you just wasn't for you. And the right opportunity will come in due time. And I believe in that. So you should too.
Man, that's some serious game. William, thanks so much for being here today, and I wish you continued success.
I appreciate that, Trent. That means a lot, man.